I guess it would help if I have a microphone. That might help. I kind of forgot about that little detail. Let's see if audio can catch up here. Okay. Okay. I hear audio. So, welcome. Sorry, it was a late night. I am tired. Let's see if we can get through this. Where are we? Buenos dias. Buen provecho. I'm missing a video camera and I'm having to fix my lighting and everything that my kids apparently messed with when I was gone. Thank you, kids. So, what are you up to? Happy Friday. Good morning. Yet another week. It's been 2 weeks since I've done a live stream because, as you'll see, I was a little busy. And this is a Ferrari F40 in El Salvador, in San Salvador, in front of the premier Starbucks location in Centro Histórico in downtown San Salvador. Apparently that is a $3 million car. Now, I personally would not want to have a Ferrari F40 in El Salvador, primarily because if the slightest thing is wrong with it, good luck trying to fix it. But clearly, it is not a big deal for whoever is owning or driving that car. So that is quite a sight. So, last week, oh my gosh, la semana pasada. It was crazy. Not this week, but the prior week, last week, it started with me trying to pack 200 pounds of stuff into suitcases that can only hold about 140, 150 pounds. So needless to say, I was not completely successful, but I was able to pack about 120, 130 pounds into 3 suitcases. And for the first time, I had to leave stuff behind. So it was interesting, but I made it to El Salvador and it was absolutely packed. The airport was overflowing. I have never seen so many Americans in El Salvador before, since I've been going since 2023. The airport was just absolutely filled with Americans. The airport hotel was filled with Americans. It was really interesting. I don't know why they were there, but it was clearly like groups of people who knew each other. So it was like a conference or sporting events or something. So very interesting. And I took photos of the airport when I landed. And if you've ever been to El Salvador, you will be familiar with these Aeroman hangars. And these are MRO. It's a huge MRO facility at the San Salvador airport where Aeroman does the maintenance on many planes for many airlines. And they have, I think they have 3 or 4 hangars that they've had for a while, and they are all packed, like jam packed to the gills with planes doing overhauls and repairs. And if you look at the hangar on the left, I am informed that that is going to be a new wide body hangar for dedicated to doing maintenance on the large wide body aircraft. And I just happen to know that the company also might just theoretically, so it is rumored, use a Dynamics ERP product based in El Salvador. So that is pretty cool as well. So I've had a few, well, I might have theoretically had a few chats with the team in El Salvador. And I arrive on Monday morning. I check into my hotel for the night or for that day because I arrived at like 6 a.m. And what do you know? Wade Tetsuka is in town. He's like, hey, I'm in El Salvador. You want to meet up? I was like, sure. So he came over to my hotel, the Quality Hotel Aeropuerto in El Salvador. And he and a friend were in El Salvador playing some golf. And so we had breakfast together. So imagine that. He's like, hey, are you going to be in El Salvador? I was like, coincidentally, I am. So we had breakfast on Monday morning at the hotel. So that was super cool, super chivissimo. And yeah, so we had a great chat and I learned about what his company UST does and we're going to look into his product. So, and then Ronald next day picked me up from the airport and drove me in. Thank you, Ronald, for being my chauffeur. And yeah, so we had a great drive. We stopped at the scenic overlook, beautiful views. And then that night, I had the obligatory pupusa dinner. So that was good. Oh, you can't see, but there's the pupusas and curtido and salsa. Okay. So that was yummy. And what do you know? Look what the cat drug in. Tanya eventually showed up and we picked up some pupusas to go for her. And we had a evening pupusa party and strategy session in our El Salvador HQ. So that was fun. And of course, she was working. And then the next morning, I'm like, who are you? I wake up and she's already out in the office watching Kenny for the Business Central launch event video. She just replaying it or watching some to learn something as she works first thing in the morning. I'm like, don't you sleep? And the answer is no. And naturally, we had to have Good Beans coffee for our ERP Center of Excellence caffeine addiction. So, yeah, we had a good time. And some sights and sounds from El Salvador here. It is in El Salvador if you don't see a cow or a bull or a livestock animal on the road on your way into town. So we saw several of those. And Ronald took us to some really nice scenic areas. So we got to see those. That was great. And had dinner at, this is at the pupuseria when we picked up some pupusas. And what else? Sorry, my lighting is off. It is not quite right, but. And Berlin was all decked out with Christmas decorations. So apparently different companies throughout town decorate different parts of the, what they call the parquet or park in the center. And so they had Christmas trees and they had Santas and really amazing, very nice setups. And I honestly don't know where this was. I don't know. I found this photo, but I don't remember it. So yeah. And then Ronald took us to Alegria and we went to Finca. I've already forgotten, it was my intro slide. So went to this Finca in Alegria, had a tour, had a nice lunch. It was beautiful, great weather, gorgeous views of the various volcanoes. And yeah, and we saw more cows. Yeah. It's pretty cool. And then we had desayuno at Pica y Repica. And then we had more volcano views. It was a nice trip. So thanks to everyone. It was a really good trip. And yeah. And I don't know if I mentioned this last 2 weeks ago, but we now have the very first Dynamics user group in all of Latin America, from Mexico all the way down to the tip of South America. We are on the map now, and we are in Berlin, El Salvador. So we are starting the Dynamics user group El Salvador. And then obviously I visited El Salvador. I'll talk about that. We had the El Coyolar Christmas Festival. I have gone down the mechanical keyboard rabbit hole. I think I forgot to mention that in the slides, but that's okay. And we are fully embracing extreme vibe coding. So more on that. I see I have a mistake in my slide. Un momento while I fix that. Animations. Okay. So the Mac attack. I blame Brad for this, but it's kind of working out so far. I am trying to learn how to use a Mac, MacBook Air M4 base model, see if it can replace my ThinkPads, and the increasingly annoying Windows and the questionable things that Microsoft is trying to do with their new, whatever you call that strategy. And so I'm figuring out all the widgets that I need to make a Mac actually functional for the power user that I am, and the 97 things that I have going on at any one time on a computer. So I've been dealing with that, learning how to do that. And I am adjusting to the dongle life that is obligatory with anything Apple. I have USB-A accessories, silly me. So now I'm having to figure out how to convert those or replace those with USB-C accessories. That is a work in progress. And I also found a new portable monitor. And Tanya and I have been doing this for a long time, but the previous model we've been using, I think, was a 15 point something inch portable monitor. And it was fine, but it was a little large and actually surprisingly heavy. So I have found this a couple days ago on Amazon, and it is a 14-inch monitor, and it is so light. So, it's lighter than the laptop, and it's great. So with this portable monitor and a little stand that I can stick on my desk or a table or whatever, and even travel with it if I were so inclined, I can have this set up over on the left there, where I have the monitor on top, Mac on bottom or side or whatever you want to do. And super cool. So now 2 monitors, and so I might actually be able to travel with it because this thing is so light. I wouldn't have really, I know Tanya does it, but the old monitors were actually pretty heavy. So this one is smaller and lighter, so it's a pretty cool setup. And festival prep. In El Salvador, we were there, Tanya and I were there for the Christmas festival primarily, and so the team was in full swing. Just one second, let me adjust my lights. They're a little bright here. Okay, that's number 1. Let's fix number 2. Okay. I don't know if that'll make a difference, but maybe. I don't know. Okay. Feels like something's off. So anyway, festival prep. The team, thank you team for doing an awesome job. They prepared 250, 300 of these snack bags. They prepared all the supplies. It was a military precision operation. Ooh, I obviously got that backwards. Whoa, hold up. Wait a minute. Okay, let me, I see. I see what I did there. Okay, now we go. So the team got everything ready. They put stickers on bags. They got the little prizes and, toys and little things that we were handing out in the bags. And so we had an assembly line going and got all those snacks and gifts and boxes. And we had pallets of drinks and popcorn and food and piñatas. And hundreds of bags were assembled by the end of the day. So, really awesome job by the team. Organized everything, got everything done. Great job. And thank you, Fatima, for all of the work. And there's the team on Friday morning, early, ready to go to drag all the stuff down to the soccer field. And had a truckload of stuff, and they assembled the tent on site, impromptu assembly there. And Tanya and I, as leaders do, we just walked around and took photos as the team actually did the work. Thank you, team. And yeah, everything was handed out. Fatima had everything printed out. We had checklists, we had lists of names, we had procedures, we had roles. Everything was done excellent. And we had some early attendees getting settled in, ready for the festivities. We had wristbands, concert style wristbands to show what age group everyone was in order to get their toys. And we even had tickets for snacks. And here we have Franklin with a list of everyone's name, checking off who showed up, who didn't show up, and any write-ins. So awesome job to the team. And thank you to our fearless PMP, Fatima. So during the event, everyone would say, hey, PMP, PMP over here. So that is her new nickname, PMP, as she leads the crew in this project. And this is Irma. She is kind of like the community head for the El Coyolar community, and she is introducing the event to the residents who attended. So it was very cool. And thank you to the sponsors who made it possible. And we had Pim Pom, I forget his name, but a Salvadoran clown who did an awesome job. He made the kids laugh. He made the parents laugh, the adults laugh. He had games. He had interactive stuff. It was a lot of fun. Prizes, great time. We had a Santa there. The kids were laughing. And some of the zaniest stuff you've ever seen happens when you get a clown in front of kids in El Salvador. So just don't play Michael Jackson. Tanya knows what I'm talking about. So we handed out the snack bags and toys. It was a great time. We not only had a trampoline, but we had a bouncy castle. I mean, come on. So this is like Disneyland in El Coyolar. So the kids had a great time running around like crazy, as kids should be doing. And this is a pretty huge event for the community. This is not something that happens regularly. I mean, maybe they can make it to a fair or an event held in El Salvador, but to have this coming to their community is pretty amazing. So there I am hanging out with the folks. And we had hundreds of ice cream bars, galetas, I think is what they're called. Handed those out. So those are obviously a big hit. And then if you have never seen a little girl in El Salvador go after a piñata, whoa, just stand back. Do not get anywhere near that activity because it is vicious. This little girl just tore into that piñata with a vengeance. And it was quite a show. So we had a great time. And there's me and Irma hanging out after the event. And yeah, so kids got toys. Every kid got a toy, and they had a good time. So yeah, really, really cool. And thank you to the sponsors, Integrity Data, MTP Consulting Group, iSolutions, and McCorma. We mentioned what we were doing, and they all volunteered to sponsor and took care of everything. So thanks to them, it was a really great event and had a great time. I think everyone in the community enjoyed it, and it was quite a blast. So it was fun going there. Last year was the first year, and it was an impromptu thing, and I wasn't able to attend. The team handled everything. It was awesome, but I wasn't there. So this year, Tanya and I wanted to be present. And thanks to all of the volunteers, the ladies in black there, they are all recipients of our English Academy Scholarship. So once a month, we sponsor someone to attend the 10-month intensive English training program in El Salvador. And all of those ladies have received the scholarship and are learning English, and really amazing the progress they make. So as part of that, they help volunteer for events like this, and they get to do some community service. So really, really fun and lots of happy kids. So it was really, really cool to see. And they all had a great time. So yeah, lots of smiles. So that was fantastic. It was a great time in El Salvador. And we have some new team members, as I mentioned, and they are growing up quickly. Here we have Mom, and her name is ERP. So I've been told. So this is ERP, and she is our new senior furry consultant. And she comes with 3 very, very junior consultants, E, R, and P. And they are slowly learning the ropes, and they have a plush imported pet bed from United States. So there was a suitcase full of pet beds, I'm told. And yeah, so ERP is pretty spoiled, as are her 3 children. So those are the new team members in Berlin. And thank you to my partner in crime. This was my 12th trip to El Salvador. And so it was a very successful trip. And at the conclusion of our trips, we have a drink at the airport. So congratulations. Cheers. Buen provecho to number 12. And 2026 events right around the corner. Partner in Vibe Conference, end of January in South Padre Island, Texas. You can still register and meet me there. This is for Microsoft partners of all stripes and flavors. Directions NA is in April, late April in Orlando. Dynamics Con is in May in Las Vegas. Dynamics Minds is in late May in Slovenia. So plenty of conferences coming up over the next 5 months. And at the Partner in Vibe Conference, sessions start on Wednesday, January 28th, I believe, if long as nothing has changed. So Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at the Courtyard by Marriott, South Padre Island, Texas. And I will be presenting on building a consulting and support services practice from scratch and avoiding a $1 million lawsuit. Always good topics. And I believe we're trying to do a modern support managed services for Dynamics in the Cloud session. And so I'll meet you there, South Padre Island. And Summit NA Roadshows, Nashville, January 15th, Dallas, January 22nd. Double check those dates as always. Dynamics Con Regional 2026, Tampa in January, Vancouver in March, Denver in April. And excellence updates. The team has been very busy. Jocelyn and David are both working on a couple new implementations we're doing. They are in the thick of it. Configuration packages, data migration, report layouts. Jocelyn is doing financial reports, GL accounts, account categories, you name it. And they are both studying for the MB800 certification exam. Ronald's still leading our 1099 war room, trying to figure out what is going on with 1099s in BC version 27 and preparing for the majority of our customers who we believe will stay on 26.5 until February as late as possible and make it through 1099 season. Franklin is helping to beta test the partner dashboard with Ronald. That's our internal tool that helps us manage all of our customer tenants through a single page in Business Central. And he is also learning PTE vibe coding. So he's completed one PTE and he will be working on the second one soon. And that is where he takes the statement of work for a PTE and he will vibe code it from scratch and learn how to do the entire thing. And Fatima was trying to take the PMP certification this week, but they sent a proctor who did not speak Spanish. Not smart. So that got canceled and she's having to reschedule that. But hopefully soon she will be PMP certified. And she will be leading the Dynamics user group in El Salvador. And we hope to have our first meeting in January. And I see a mistake on my next slide. So let me fix that. What's going on here? Which slide is that? That is this one. And let's move this up. Sorry about this. 5. Yeah, let's give that a try. Okay, so vibe coding. What a journey. It's like a year compressed in the last 6 months. I started vibe coding, I think, in April in preparations for directions and doing a presentation there. Holy cow, the things that have occurred in the last 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, absolutely insane. This was entirely vibe coded yesterday in one day. A project, number one, a project we would not have even tried to do because it just would have been too hard. Like, not like technically hard, but just the research, the reverse engineering, the validation, the design, like easily 60 to 80 hours of work, mostly just to make sure that this was even possible and safe and just investigate how to accomplish this request. Like really, really difficult to do without AI tools. But instead of declining the project, I prototyped it in 4 hours, did a proof of concept, sent it over to Tanya. She tested it, said, yep, in theory, this works. So then I took all that from scratch, created this PRD yesterday morning. Over the course of several iterations of the PRD, I then had 45 pages of documentation for the design of this PTE, including everything: design, implementation details, permission set matrix. Like, when's the last time you created a permission set matrix in your statement of work or your design docs prior to touching a single line of code? Absolutely insane. Error handling and transaction management. When have you written a document prior to writing a single line of code where you have a section on error handling design, including your error handling philosophy and error categories? Absolutely mind-bending, comprehensive detail. It asked me, Steve, that's a nice PRD you got there, but I see you don't handle edge cases. Would you like me to discuss that? I said, absolutely. I would love to discuss edge cases in this document. So it did. What happens if you have a discount? What happens if you have a negative? What happens if you have a 0? Phenomenal capability here, right? And then user notification strategy. And sorry, that was a little bit out of order. User notification strategy. How do you want to notify users when these events occur? Do you want a confirmation? Do you want an error dialog? Do you want a message? How's that going to work? Acceptance criteria. What are your functional acceptance criteria? Where do you have that documented before you begin developing your PTE? I've got it. I now have over 50 pages of this stuff I didn't write it. I helped design it. I kind of coached it along the way. I now have test sign-off criteria. Do we have all P1 functional tests passing? How about your P2 functional tests? UI tests, permission test, error handling tests. I've got a checklist now. Absolutely bonkers. Lessons learned. This is after the PTE was developed. I said, hey, now that you fixed some bugs, now that you found some issues, now that you've refactored to follow the AI vibe coding best practices for AL development, go back and add that to the PRD so you have lessons learned. It's like, great idea, Steve. Let me document that for you. Event parameter understanding, event timing and validation chains, circular validation dependencies. Naturally, one would document this. Test-driven discovery, tri-function pattern for transaction safety, all documented now in my PRD. Folks, if you are not using AI to its fullest, if you are not using this every day, all day long, to just accelerate your work, amplify your work, increase your capabilities by 10x, you are cooked. I don't know what else to say. In one day, I did the equivalent at least 60 hours of work. So last night, 10:45 p.m., I did my commit and I did my pull request. My dev took over from there. He built my release pipeline. And by 11 p.m. Pacific time, we had a PTE released, automatically went through our process, got built, got validated, got pushed to our SharePoint, got pushed to Tanya's SharePoint, and Tanya had an email in her inbox by 11 p.m. Pacific that said, your PTE is ready to test. 52 pages of documentation, a user guide, a testing checklist, a README, everything in DevOps, pipelined, packaged, ready to go in one day. 60 hours to 12 hours, roughly. Pretty phenomenal. I highly encourage you to embrace this to the fullest extent possible. So with that is my vibe coding adventure, another El Salvador adventure, another 2 weeks in the books. So go learn something. I am off to vibe code another PTE, bang that out hopefully today, and write up a PRD for another absolutely crazy feature request that a customer needs. We tried an ISV. The ISV is unfortunately garbage. No support. The product doesn't work. No documentation. It's buggy. It's messed up data. So we're just going to write it ourselves. And I would never attempt this before, but here we go. It's a new era. So, hello Mo. Hello Brad. Have a good weekend. Que tengas un buen fin de semana. Adios. Nos vemos.